You better not leave that job. How many of us have heard this from our mothers? This is a conversation talking about the experiences of when our mothers tell us to stay in a toxic job. And we're going to talk about what to do about it. How do you deal with the situation if your mother is telling you to stay at a toxic job? Many times our mothers want the best for us, and they're saying this out of their own concern. So they might be saying, I'm concerned for you because many of our mothers have been brought up during a time as Black people that we get this good job with good benefits and we stay there to get a pension. That's how many of our mothers were brought up. And so for us, they're saying the same things because they don't want anything bad to happen to us. However, there are also situations in which we as Black women are in the workplace and we're being harmed. So we understand our mother's concern, yet we're also being harmed in the workplace. So we're going to talk about the experiences of when your mother tells you to stay in a toxic job and what to do about it. So we have a special treat today. We have a mother and daughter here with us today. They've been here before. We're so excited to have them back. If you don't know me already, I'm Dr. Kamani. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist of over 20 years. I'm also a toxic job survivor, but more importantly, I am a toxic job liberator for Black women. I'm also the co-founder with Marissa Price of the Job Liberation Virtual Summit for Black women. If you would like to get the replay, you can access that by going to the description section of this video. I'll also have it going across as a banner. So let us have Dr. Jillian Watley introduce herself, and everybody tell Dr. Jillian Watley happy birthday because she is here for her birthday. What a special treat. And she said, looking cute. And yes, she is looking cute, recovering from an illness, but she is here and full of fact with her beautiful mother. So Dr. Jillian, if you could introduce yourself and then we'll turn it over to your mom.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm happy to be back with Kamani. Amazing work that you are doing in the community. I am Dr. Jillian Watley. I am the president and CEO of Jillian Watley and Associates. And I'm also an adjunct professor at Anderson University in South Carolina. Also, I'm an implicit bias coach with the Academy of Creative Coaching, among all things. And I'm happy to be here.
Yes. And Mrs. Ruby Watley, can you please introduce yourself too?
Yes, I'm Ruby Watley. Happy to be back with you. There's so much work to be done. And I just want to let you know I am retired. I worked in corporate and in advertising back in the day. I also worked in social services and psychology and sociology. And I worked in the field of education, and I'm a hospital chaplain, also retired.
All those things and so much more. And let me just say, I'm so excited to have them here today because we often talk about our mothers and influence our mothers has on us, even as adults. Our mothers have a huge influence on our lives. So it's good to have a mother and daughter here so we could talk through it. And Dr. Watley and Mrs. Watley were on previously, and it was an amazing conversation. So you are in for a treat today. So Dr. Watley, let's start off with kicking it off. So for those of you who have not seen the previous videos I've done with Dr. Watley or the ones I've done with Dr. Watley and her mother, I'll put those links in the description section so you can check those out. So for those who are not familiar, Dr. Watley, can you just kind of kick it off with talking about what type of work were you doing? What were the escalation of events contributing to you pivoting from that job?
Yes. In my previous role, I was the executive director of student support services in the school district, supervising discipline, nursing, migrant education, social work, all things student services, registration, heavy work. And one of the other pieces was that I reported to the superintendent in schools. During that time, the school board were making some changes in terms of the organization, and they wanted certain other divisions to be placed under my division. And that's the typical thing that happens in school districts or in any organization where things are constantly being shifted and moved so that we can make some alignments and some changes. And so that's a typical thing. It's nothing new or under the sun, but in that particular case, it was causing some challenges for some other people of other other persuasions.
Mhm.
I don't think that, and this is what I still think to this day, they did not want to report to an African American woman.
Mm.
Essentially, I went away on vacation one summer, came back to know that they had put something, these two women had conspired to put something on my Professional Standards Commission, which is my certification in the state of Georgia. And anyone in any form of education knows that's not good. After that, got an attorney.
Wait, they tainted your record.
Yeah, they tried to take my record.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, of something
Mm.
very erroneous and made up, and doing it while I was on vacation that summer.
Mm.
And so I went on to file really essentially a lawsuit, opening the record, so that I can make sure that my name was cleared and that the truth was being told. So got an attorney, ended up, I was fully exonerated. The judge turned around the judgment on that case very quickly, because I think during the hearing, I had so many witnesses, and thank God for those witnesses and people who really can testify to your character and
Yeah.
your work ethic. So I tell people all the time, if you are just being true to yourself, those who will stand with you in the gap, because there will come a time where there's a gap. That's just the way this thing works. They'll rise. The cream always rises to the top.
Yes.
And so after that, I was fully exonerated. I remember one thing, and I'll never will forget, that the judge did ask me during that time. She said, Dr. Wiley, how has this impacted you? And I went on to say that, it had impacted my health, which I subsequently had to have a surgery for, and just even knowing, I think for me, there was a level, even now, Kamani, it's been about 3 years now, right? I think there was a level of naivety. I think that I really did truly think that everybody was in education for children. And I've come to know, right? I have come to know that everyone is not in the best interest of children. And they themselves may even say that and actually believe that they're there for children, but they are not, because their actions are contrary to what they say.
Right.
And so I've come to realize that. I think 3 years ago, I think I really did believe, because I've been so fortunate to work in certain spaces, or a lot of spaces, where people cared about children. I've been groomed by some wonderful educators. So my experience was very straightforward.
Right.
However, this experience added some texture to my now experience. And I now know, and I'm very aware, very clear, that everybody is not in education for children.
So true. So true. So true. So many things you said that I want to follow up on. One is that it's so true that people, you think that they're in for a similar mission as you. And this is across the board, across professions, that we are assuming that people have positive intent, that we're all here to work together, we're on the same team. But what we come to find out is everybody's not. And they will throw you under the bus. They will try to smear your name, they try to smear your reputation for their own whatever that's about, right? But basically they're trying to throw you into the fire to get themselves elevated. And I think many of us have had that experience, but it's very disturbing when it happens in education, because we think, wait a minute, aren't we supposed to be here for the kids and trying to benefit the kids? So I think we're on so many levels with that. So Dr. Wiley, I think you also mentioned previously when you were here that a lot of the stress and the toxicity was also coming from a Black woman who was a supervisor as well. And I bring that up because so many Black women watching my channel talk about this all the time. They say, oh my God, it was another Black woman. It was another Black woman. Can you talk about that? Can you just briefly mention, because you mentioned about the judge was asking you about the impact. Can you talk about the impact of these people who are throwing you to the bus, but also the impact of having a supervisor who was a Black woman who was causing the toxicity? How did that add to the level of impact on you?
Yeah, I think that was real daunting to me, because again, I come from a background of sisterhood. I came from an HBCU, and Kamani, we talked about that. I'm in a sorority. I just believe in Black womanhood. And that's just what I believe in. no matter what way you slice it. You can see me in the room with a bunch of white people. I'm still going to talk about Black womanhood. You
Yes,
can see
yes,
me in a place with all Indians. I'm going to talk about Black womanhood.
yes.
I'm not ashamed of that. And if that makes someone else feel uncomfortable, that is a you issue. That's definitely not a me issue. So I'm
True.
very clear on that. So I assumed that all Black women were the same. I now know they're not. And the reason that it was more impactful with this situation was because these white women did what they did while I was on summer vacation, but it was under the leadership of the superintendent who was Black and who I subsequently saw when we did open records signed off on it.
Ooh, so she knew.
So what was communicated to me was obviously a lie, because when we saw open, see, that's the other thing people forget. Open records is a part of the legal process, right? So anytime you do open records, that's where you really get to see whether or not what people have been saying in your face is really true. And it wasn't. So you obviously knew, you obviously had some inkling, you had an idea, and you signed off on it.
Wow.
And you knew it was erroneous. You knew it was unfounded. I was away on vacation. I didn't even have a chance to speak for myself. You all did this underhandedly. And so that was more hurtful than even the white women. Because see, anybody who knows me, I'm team Black people. And if it's a white person that makes them feel uncomfortable, again, I will say that I don't really care. I love my people.
Yeah.
Unapologetically.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to ride and do what's best and break barriers for my people every day. But what I've realized is that some of us, overwhelming majority of us, are the slave master's puppets.
Ooh.
So therefore, I have to be very careful in understanding that all skin folk ain't kinfolk.
So true.
And I am very clear on that. I know that there are some of us who are just really happy, to be at the table with, we just tap that.
Oh, yeah.
And we're just really happy about that. And you know what I mean? And I'm like, I'm just not a tap dancing person.
Right. So you're about the mission, right? But then you're talking about people who are so deeply insecure, not only that they were thrown into the bus, but they're just deeply insecure with their own internalized oppression, that they're trying to do anything that they can do to get closer to white supremacy, but it's not going to save them in any way. It didn't save them.
Okay. It doesn't save them. And so that was, to answer your question, that was the most hurtful part. It's like, wow, this sister could have slammed this down anytime. Because see, if I was in her role, I would have asked those chicks, first of all, we're going to wait till Dr. Wiley come back from vacation.
Right.
Number two, based on state law, this isn't even her role to do. Number three, and so I think that's what was astonishing to even the judge. And the millions of people who came and testified on my behalf, is that someone allowed people to even do and railroad me like that. And what was the sticker while I was on vacation? So I was even on premises to even have a voice in the say. It had already gone within 24 hours of the complaint that they made up, had already been sent to the PSC.
That's crazy.
That just reeks setup, right?
Absolutely. And like evil, and just evil.
Very
evil. That was evil, right?
Very evil.
Yeah.
And these are the people that go to church every Sunday, raise their hand, pass the pulpit, whatever.
Right.
Miss me with all that.
Right. And can get up and talk about how they're there for the kids.
Oh yeah, you're there for the kids, and you just love the kids, and I'm just here to do what's best for the kids.
Right. And we're a team.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. And we're a team. We're working together. All the while they're trying to just suck you under. So, oh my God. So thank you, Dr. Wiley. That was a lot.
Welcome.
Ooh. So, Mrs. Watley, what was it like for you? What did you observe going on with your daughter at that time? So as she was going through this toxicity, what did you observe about how it was impacting her?
Well, one thing I noticed that Jill she's a happy person. You know that by now. She's a
Yes.
happy go lucky person and all that kind of stuff. But Jill was masking.
Oh.
She wanted to handle the situation when she came back from her vacation, and she didn't tell me anything about what was
Oh, you
going
didn't
on her
know. You
job.
didn't
I
know at
didn't know.
first.
She didn't tell me at first.
Ah,
But
okay.
when I found out what was going on, I told her we had to come up with a strategy and a strategic plan to deal with these people. I have worked in so many vineyards that I consider toxic.
Yeah.
I understand what it looks like.
Right.
And I know when it's time to go too. I'm not going to stay there while you come up with all kind of crazy stuff to do to me each and every day. I'm not staying.
Right.
I feel like I have enough skill set to pedal pencils if I need to. I'm gonna get out of there. I'm
You
gone.
got options.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like I have to protect my mental and physical well-being.
Right.
You know, people don't want to pay. They don't like, as far as benefits, they don't like to pay medical expenses anymore. So you have to put yourself on top shelf and stop taking care of me. I'm getting out of here. I'm not.
Right.
Black women are too brilliant. We're a brilliant set of people to take crazy from everybody else, including our own people.
True.
We have to learn that we are due respect no matter where we are.
Right.
They have to respect us. We can't continuously go down this rabbit hole that has been created since slavery.
True that.
For us, we have been abused in so many different ways. And it does come like what Jill was speaking of a few minutes ago, step inflection. Oftentimes we do all kind of dancing tricks. You stay on stage. You just perform all day. And when you get home, you don't know who you are. You've lost your identity.
So true. You dropping gems. Yes. You don't even know who you are.
No.
You're so disconnected from who you are because you playing a role. That's
Exactly.
not even true. Because you think that you're going to protect yourself, or you think you're going to elevate over other Black people. And that's a classic sign of white supremacy, is that you step on other Black people to elevate, but it's never going to work. It's never going to work.
We have been conditioned, Dr. Kamani.
Yes, we have.
And if a pit and a shame, we're operating in 2025, and I still see some of the crazy tenants from back in the day. It's still happening now.
So true.
And we'll look like crabs in a barrel, everybody going after the same nickel and dime. And these people are trillionaires, got yachts bigger than 20 blocks.
Right.
But they're giving you penance to fight over.
Right. The crime.
Now we have to change the way we look at our psychology.
So true.
Where's Black psychology? We got to change that.
Absolutely.
Well, we have Black psychologists, but we're not taught about them in school.
But I'm talking about Black psychology. We have a psychologist, but who's teaching that?
Yeah. Well, that's the part where these types of discussions are so healing, because we're talking about things that many Black people talk about behind closed doors.
Yeah.
But we don't talk about it publicly. We don't talk about crabs in a barrel. We don't talk about what it looks like in the workplace. We don't talk about all skin folk and kin folk in the workplace. We don't talk about how other Black women can throw you under the bus in the workplace. We don't talk about these things. So that's why the channel that I have now is an opportunity to talk about this stuff. So we can have it out and open, right? So, I want to go back to something right quick though. So Dr. Wally, your mom mentioned that you were masking. Can you talk a little bit about reasons why you were masking, and how did masking impact you? And what contributed to you not masking anymore?
Yeah. I didn't even know. I think for me, like so let me set this up because the context really matters, right? For me, it matters. It was during COVID. And during COVID, there was just a lot of things that were really critical going on in the nation. As everyone knows that really landed in trying to get schools open, get kids back to school, get kids back to school safely, really fell on my shoulders. Why? Because of the division I was over. I was over nursing.
Oh, ooh.
So a lot of things I was front and center on, having to meet with like the CDC, meet with UGA, meet with all these different places to make sure we're having mass vaccine drives, all of these things. So that's a lot of pressure.
Absolutely.
I don't care what anybody says. That is a lot of pressure. Anybody who was in leadership during COVID either left or they have the scars to prove it. Because we never experienced anything like that.
Right. So we're looking at safety, student safety, and then trying to get them to get their education at the same time.
At the same time. So I think for me, I was hyper focused on getting kids back to school and getting them back to school safe. So all of this stuff that was going on around me, the noise, I was like, okay, that's the noise. But because I'm a child-centered leader, I'm a child-centered educator. That's why I love the children.
Yeah.
I stay focused on the children. But it came a point when it was time for me to go to the hearing and we were preparing for my case that I said, I've got to stand for Jill.
That's right.
And so while I still am an advocate for children, I love children, and I'm going to always do the work for children. At the same time, I'm going to advocate for what's best for Jill.
Let me highlight that. Let me highlight that, because I need for us as Black women that we need to understand that self-preservation comes before any job. Because we can love the work we do, we can love the mission, we can love the kids, all those things. But if we're not well, we have to prioritize that and be okay with that. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think that many of us are high performers. We want to do a good job. We're like, okay, I can handle this. All this stuff is whatever. I got this. And to a high degree, and to a degree, we do, right? Because we're still focused. But what we don't recognize is the impact it's having on us. And so even the masking, right? That takes an emotional toll. And then you do all these assaults on you at the same time in a very high stress situation. So when did it get to a point where how did you get to the point of saying, I got to think about me? How did you get there?
Yeah, I remember it being one summer. I just was like, I don't want to go to work. I just don't want to work there no more.
Oh,
I don't want to do that no more. And it sounds like almost like a kid would. I don't want to. I think I cried one morning and said, I don't want to go there anymore.
Ooh,
Anybody who's ever worked with me or ever known me, I love what I'm doing. I came from a long line of educators. So education is in my blood. It's what I know. It's what I've been around. Community service is in my blood. It's what I know. And if I say I don't want to do something, I think that people have to stop and acknowledge that. Because I'm really not in this for the money.
Yes, we have to.
I really want to see that. Yeah. So I say, now I need to listen to my body and listen to my spirit and what my God is telling me. Even though I may want to stay here, I may not need to stay here because it may be killing me. So my time is up.
That part. So you recognize at that point that the cost of staying outweighed the benefits of staying. Even though you wanted to do all these things, you recognize that you were being harmed. And let's talk a little bit, because I want to get back to your mom too about how it impacted her. Can you talk from your perspective, Dr. Jillian, how did being in that work environment impact you outside of the job? Because I like to talk to people about, it's not just the job, it's not just the toxicity. You are not the only person who's impacted. It's people around you who are impacted. So I want to hear from you first, and I'm going to turn over to your mom. What did you observe of people around you in terms of how they were impacted by you being in this toxic work environment?
It was interesting because I saw a lot of people that really felt like I was their savior while there. Because they said that I had a voice and I could speak up for those that people didn't hear. So I felt that pressure.
Yeah.
And I do speak up, and that causes allies and enemies.
True that.
Okay. And I'm very okay and comfortable with enemies. So I am not in this business for everyone to like me. I am in this business for children and to see our people do better than what they've been doing. So I am very okay. Everybody did not like Jesus. I am okay with that. But
Right.
what I'm not in this business for is backstabbing, undermining, microaggressions, and all those things. I'm not in this for that. You don't have to like me, but you
Right.
will respect me. And that's something I demand and I command from anybody, whether it be a supervisor, a
Mhm.
cross-lateral person, or even someone who's reporting up to me. The
Yeah.
respect has to be there.
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
you don't respect me, then I'm going to have to make some pivots, because I've come to know that you can't train a person to respect you.
True.
And
True.
I think we spend a lot of time trying to train people to like us, teach people to like, and I just don't do that.
It's a losing
So
battle.
and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
So the other thing was, you know, after a while, if your body continues to have these physiological responses to stressors,
Mhm.
Kamani, you know this,
Yeah.
whether it be at a job or in a relationship or wherever, your heart rate, I always tell my students, if your heart rate constantly is like this,
Mhm.
then
Mhm.
eventually you're on your way to having some panic attacks, a heart
True.
attack, all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to do that for no job, no retirement, no moving up in a career. And what I see is that a lot of Black women
Mhm.
will put themselves under that stress
Mhm. Mhm.
because they think it's going to propel them to another level. But
Right.
what if the next level or the current level that you're on is killing you?
Exactly. And what if you never get there
And what
because
if you
it's killing you?
right and you never even make it there
Right.
because it's killing you?
Yeah.
So therein lies, you have to make a real personal decision,
Mhm.
right? This
Mhm.
has nothing to do about your boss or you're moving up in your career or whatever you created or the world has said. You've
Mhm.
got to make some sort of decision about how you're going to love yourself through that. And I made that decision. You know
Yeah.
what? I can get another career, and did.
Because you got the credentials and
And I
experience.
got right. I don't
Yeah.
have to stay here. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of times we get caught up in the fact, especially Black women, that we have to do something. We got to
Mhm.
stay here. We even do it in relationships. You don't
Yeah.
have to do anything.
No. Not any place where you're being harmed.
No.
No.
And
But you have options.
right. Why do we feel like we got to stay somewhere? Like
Yeah.
even in marriage, some people stay in marriages because they feel like that's the only way they can financially make it. The devil is a liar. I'm living
Yeah.
in Atlanta and I'm a single mother and I do
Mhm.
pretty well.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So
So, go
a-
on.
again, it's relearning and retraining your thinking so that
Mhm.
your behaviors can change.
Yeah.
Because if you continue to keep yourself in toxic situations,
Mhm.
whether it be personal, home, job, I don't care, you are on a slow suicide.
Ooh, so true, so true. So what we're talking about is these maladaptive thoughts that make us think that we have to stay at that particular job to make a difference, to make an income. And that's not true. We have options. So that's the first thing. The other thing that you said, which I love, was we have to respect ourselves enough. Can we respect ourselves more than the job? Okay.
Yeah.
So I one time had a Black woman, I think, I'm not sure if I told you all this, but I had a Black woman I was consulting with, and she was talking about this horrible toxic job she was in. And it was impacting her. And she said, and then I had a heart attack because they're stressed at the job. And I was like, what? She's like, yeah, I had a heart attack. And then, I went back to work the next day. And I was like, what did you say? Because I was like, I clearly must have misheard her because I think she said she had a heart attack and she went to work the next day. And I said, sis, I don't know you, but what do you plan to do about the job? She told me that she
Mm,
was not going to leave that job because she had been there too long. She wasn't gonna let them run them out of her at the job. And
yeah.
three, this is the kicker. She said, I'm going to make them respect me.
Oh no.
So that ties into exactly what you said. You cannot make anybody respect or like you. And you have to think about what is the cost. And we know as Black women that we always know how to pivot. Like we always have resources, we always have all these things. We're able to pivot, but it's the mindset. It's the
Yeah.
mindset.
Right.
Right? It's
Right.
the mindset. Okay,
Mhm.
okay.
Wow. That's whoa.
Kind of
Wow.
disturbing. And she was
Wow.
laughing. I was like, I must have misheard her, but she was laughing about it. She was just
Wow.
okay. Yes. So,
Wow.
Mrs. Watley, how did it impact you to see your daughter like that? When you saw, when she told you what was happening, and you realized she was masking and she's taking off the mask and she was telling you what was happening, how did that impact you as her mother?
Well, one thing I can say, it saddened me
Uh-huh.
because of triggers and different workspaces I had been in.
Uh-huh.
At one point, I mentioned that I worked corporate in advertising. I sold Yellow Pages. If you remember the book, the Yellow Pages, I
Yeah.
was a salesperson for them in the 70s.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, I
You
did
take
that.
me back. Yes.
Woo! So I stayed there like 10 years. That was a long time. And then to be in that kind of vineyard, dealing with all them people and those people, and basically they were white people, more white people there than black people.
Okay.
And I understood the situation that she was in
Ah.
and how hurtful that is to be in a situation very toxic. So what I did when she did come around to tell me about what was happening to her,
Uh-huh.
through all the tears and weeping,
Yeah.
we had to come up with a plan. I said, you getting out of there.
Wow. Wow.
You
So,
didn't go to school to be a foot mat for anybody, for
okay.
nobody to step on you.
Girl, know your worth. Yes. Know your worth.
You're not going to stay there.
No.
I don't care how much money they're offering you. It's not enough. We cannot associate our well-being and prosperity with only money.
True.
You're more than money.
True. True.
They don't make enough money. And I
Exactly.
said previously in our other conversation,
Uh-huh.
if you really get down to it, you can get a printing press and print your own money.
Ooh.
Let's see how that works. They do it every day.
Right.
Let's see how that will work for them.
Yes, yes. So essentially, really knowing as Black women our worth and knowing that we have other opportunities to make money. So it sounds like when you realize that, like you went into like problem solving mode. So you guys
Yes.
were working together and you were supporting your daughter in pivoting out of that job, which sounds extremely supportive. So I'm wondering, because a lot of Black women, myself included, and I've talked about this a lot on my YouTube channel, many of us don't have mothers who are supportive of us leaving toxic jobs. Many of us are in situations where we tell our mother about a toxic job, and mothers will say, something like, "I'm sorry you're going through that," or "This is how you're going to fight these people." But very clear, you do not leave that good job with the good benefits, right? So what I think I'm hearing from you, Mrs. Wiley, is that because you had experienced toxicity in your previous work experiences, you were like, I don't want this for my daughter. Is that what contributed to that? Because I think I think both of us, Dr. Wiley and I think we're both Gen X. Is that true?
I think we are.
Okay. I think we're both Gen X, right?
I'll take it.
Okay, yes. And Mrs. Wiley, I think you're a baby boomer, right?
He's a boomer.
Definitely.
Okay. So what I hear a lot is that, and I'm not trashing baby boomer moms. I'm not, please know this. Okay, my mother's baby boomer. I'm not trashing baby boomer moms. But what I hear a lot is because that generation was brought up with, as Black people, you get that good job with the good benefits, you get that pension, you stay there no matter what, right? How did you break out of that way of thinking? Because that's not common for many Black mothers who are baby boomers. That's not common to say, okay, I'm going to support you in pivoting out. That's not common. How did you develop this way of thinking?
Can I say something before she answers that? Because I really want you to think about that, Mom, because a lot of my friends have said you are an uncommon baby boomer.
Very.
Okay, you're very uncommon baby boomer. Okay.
Yes.
So we know good, in all ways of how you think. So I'm curious to know too.
Curious minds want to know.
Wait, let me tell you something. My aunt who left the South, when I remember and recall those stories. They didn't want to be slaves. My father's mother was an educator back in the 1800s.
Wow.
My father, when he got tired of being a farmer or whatever he was doing, at the age of 14, he tied the hog to the tree and said, I'm going uptown. He got a job as being a chauffeur for some Jews.
Okay.
See, that's what my aunts and my dad, they were different. They were different.
Mm-hmm.
So I think in my DNA, it caused me to be different.
Uh-huh.
And what I try to do is look at things like both sides of the coin.
Okay.
What is most beneficial and what would be the outcome in my head? I'm not staying anywhere where I am being abused. And if you don't like me, so be it. That's up to you.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to make determining factors in your head about situations.
True.
Your mom has already lived.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She lived through that toxicity, but she refused to say anything because she liked the money. She liked the status from the community. When she walked by, he walked by, hi, Mrs. So-and-so. But for me, that's not good enough. I want to be free. This society teaches us about freedom.
Yeah.
As a Black person, but you are living in a pseudo-freedom society. We are not free. We did not pass Ellis Island.
That's true.
We didn't do it. So my total outlook on freedom is different. Freedom is an ideology, it's an attitude, it's a word, just like equality. What's equal down here? Name something. They have sold us an illusion on 100%. And the people that's doing it are prevaricators. They lie day in and lie day out to get what they want and what they need.
True.
Care less about you. So it's about self-preservation.
Yeah.
How can I thrive and survive in the midst of a storm? Ever since we sailed across that ocean, we have been on it might be a hurricane. Forget the storm.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm not going to stay in no relationship. I don't care how much you claim you love me. Show me.
Yeah.
And if it's toxic, bye.
Yes.
I just can't do it.
Yes.
I have to preserve me for me.
And can I say something too?
Yes.
Mom has also in this process gotten, I don't want to say criticism, but other baby boomers don't understand her thinking. So that's how so even they're like, well, shouldn't you, or a woman shouldn't, like when my mother moved to Atlanta, there were women that were saying, well, you shouldn't leave Birmingham and go to Atlanta because you're married. People. So she's dealt with, even within her home cohort, with that mindset of what a woman should do as a baby boomer. There we go. This should thing. But what I want to say to all the women on the line, and men, this is no disrespect to y'all. I love y'all if y'all here. But men don't do a shoulda. I ain't met one man that has. They do what they want to do.
They do.
And even the best man, the post preacher man, I don't care. Even my dad, they do what they want to do. Women, we tend to do things out of loyalty and it's always that. It's not working for us.
No.
It's not working for us. And I'm gonna tell you what really brought that home for me one time when I had a white male executive coach. And there you go, obligation. Like I was listening, he was looking at how I worked. And I felt like, all my directors, I should go to not all their meetings, but support them, right? And not take over their meetings for them, but just support them. My idea of support is visibility and doing. And he said, "Oh, I don't work like that." The way in which he worked, he took, and when he was a superintendent, he said all his Wednesday was left for him to do internal thinking.
Taking some time for himself.
Yes.
Right. And so I want the women on the line to hear this, though.
Yeah.
He was a high-ranking superintendent for a very long time. And he had built a system that if I laid our calendars next to him as a superintendent, some of you all as even teachers had more on your calendar than he did.
Wow.
But we made the assumption that because he was a superintendent, he was working harder, staying up all night, and all of that. No, ma'am, these men are not working like y'all.
Yes,
Playing
yes. So,
basketball.
what's interesting, Mrs. Watley, is that as a baby boomer, like Dr. Watley said, like you are really like a unicorn from baby boomers that I've met. I'm serious. Like that whole perspective of, okay, first of all, you talked about your family and how you observe people in your family, and they were like,
Yeah.
we're gonna make a new way, okay? But the other thing as a baby boomer, which I don't see as much, is when you're like, this is not working for me, it sounds like you're like, I'm a pivot. Like I'm a pivot, I'm gonna keep pivoting
There you go.
to find an environment to work best for me. Which I'm not trashing baby boomers. I'm just saying because of social programming, I think many of you have been brought up that you stay in environments that are so-called safe, even if it's harming you, right? So you might be in a safe, so-called safe, toxic work environment, but you might think, oh, I can maneuver it, or I got to do this, or this is how jobs are, right? We just got to deal with it because we don't have any options, Black people. But you are truly a unicorn, okay? So because you are truly a unicorn, I'm gonna lean in even more. Okay?
Well, you know something, Dr.
She said she's gonna lean in more.
You're gonna lean in more. Let me tell you something too. Now I was, Girl Scouts came about in 1953.
Okay.
In 1955, I became a Brownie. So I learned, and then let me go back up a little bit. In my family dynamics, there were 4 of us. I had 3 brothers, and the youngest of them is 6 years older than myself. Okay. So I was the only kid, the only girl, and really basically the only, I had to fend for myself. When I was a kid, I wasn't interested in football, but we only had one television. So I had to watch the game, and I began to like the game because even in my adult years, people were surprised at me understanding the game. In elementary school, I can recall myself when it was time to bridge the Brownie Scouts over to Girl Scouts. I had to stand between about 1,000 people in the student government to bridge these kids from Brownie over to Girl Scouts. So also when I was in elementary school, I was the first playing a trumpet as a girl. Okay. My other alternative to the brass family is a French horn. My parents didn't pay a dime for me to go to college. The music was the ticket. So I've always been, I guess I've always been a wide herb, or some of them folks out there, saying, shoot, forget y'all, I'm gone. I'm doing my thing. So I'm not gonna, but I want to bring this in. I had forgotten this too, money. Okay, yes. When I first moved over here, I had a friend in Birmingham who called me and told me how she felt about me being over here and leaving my husband in Birmingham. My husband had a good life. He did everything he wanted to except do somersaults. He had a blast in his life. And I created my own life within that life. Yeah. But she couldn't understand it, and she told me her mama didn't understand it. So what? That's your mama. I ain't your mama. And what I did want to tell her, right? You need to focus on your children and teach them, not me. Oh, set up those boundaries, okay? Yeah, all right. Focus on your children. Stop. I am not your child. Okay. Yes. So, because I hear the spirit within you, Mrs. Watley, how you are able to talk to other baby boomers, I want to shift, and I want you to talk to some baby boomers here, okay? So, my hope is that there's baby boomers watching, but my hope is that there's other generations like Gen X or millennials who might have baby boomers mothers, and they can show them this video, okay? This is my hope. So, Mrs. Watley, what would you say to Black women, but let's say baby boomers, or just say Black mothers? Let's say Black mothers. What would you say to them if their daughter is coming to them saying, I hate this job, this happened at this job, and they're talking about the job, right? What would you say to them, the ones who say,
girl, you better stay at that job. That's a good job with good benefits. You better stay there because if you leave, you gonna be homeless. You can't find another job. We don't do stuff like that. You better stay at that job, girl. Don't be stupid. Don't be stupid. Don't be like other people. Okay. So, what would you say to Black mothers who say that to their daughters?
The first thing I would ask, I'm gonna ask a question. Why
Okay.
would your daughter come to you in the beginning? Why? She has to come to you because she trusts you.
Uh-huh.
She comes to you because she needs reassurance.
Right.
Am I doing the right thing? Would I be doing the right thing? She just might need an empathic ear.
Mm.
She might need just to express herself. She might not really need you at all. She just might want to express herself and to listen to you as a voice of reason. If you have anything positive to say, now I'm gonna take you to the other side too.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes the daughter comes hoping she can get help from you.
True.
Help. That's all she wants.
Yeah.
She wants to feel secure. You know, Maslow talked about that. Secure, being secure. You are her mother.
Yeah.
She should feel free enough to come to you with anything. If there's a bug on the wall, y'all should be able to dissect that bug. Why is it on there? It shouldn't be no qualms about that. And oftentimes, we grow up as moms as the only thing like a pillow of comfort. And when we are adults, we still seek that pillow of comfort.
Absolutely.
We want her to be there for us, not with nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing she might want from you as an adult, permission to move on.
Mm.
She might need your permission. She already knows what she wants to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She just needs your permission to do it.
Yeah.
Sometimes daughters want to hear, is it all right? Is it all right for me to make this move? They question themselves. They just want that voice from mom.
Mm-hmm.
I have experienced jobs, and I had seen my daughter experience jobs. And how I would help her is to treat her as an adult, capable of making informed decisions. You have to treat, they're no longer those little girls.
Right.
Your daughter is an adult. You all on the same level.
Yeah.
Educationally, you probably on the same level. Or if they have more, they come to you to listen to what you have to say.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
They need your support through job anxiety. You know how your daughter feels saying, I'm sick of this job?
Yeah.
Do you understand her position?
Yeah.
Why didn't you ask her instead of going off on the rails? Ask her how she feels. Then you all can have a productive dialogue about how each other might feel. She might have had the same situation. But what kept her from acting on that situation? Was it fear? Oftentimes we will stay on something or saying something because we're scared of it.
Yeah.
We don't have the voice to confront it.
Yeah.
You have to be able to confront something.
Yeah.
That goes back to understanding the situation that your daughter is in. Why is she in this situation and want to leave? That's like being with a husband. That's abusive. Why is she staying in that situation? Is it money? Is it prestige? Because he's Dr. So-and-so and you love being on his arm? Your daughter needs you. Also, you have to address family tensions. Do I need my daughter to continue in this job because I need her to work and make money, make ends meet? Think about yourself in this. And there again, are you really thinking about her? You thinking about yourself? It's about survival. And once she pulls that money, what might happen?
Uh-huh.
All right. We
Wait,
in
so
here
I want
today.
to, Mr. Wally, I want to recap. I want to recap some of it because you said you were just dropping gems. Okay. So you said first, as Black mothers, mothers need to listen for understanding.
Yes.
Listen to, why is my daughter even coming to me? Let me listen to what her experience is, and let me listen and let me be compassionate and supportive.
Mhm.
And the other thing you said was real talk. Is there some financial gain that the mother might be getting from the daughter staying at that job? So real talk.
Mhm.
And we have to think, is my daughter's health, is my daughter's sanity more important than a financial whatever that might be, right?
Mhm.
So when some Black mothers, not all Black mothers do this, but when some Black mothers hear their daughters say, I really hate this job. This job, I can't sleep at night. I'm crying all the time, right? What I
Yeah.
often hear is something like, girl, you better get over that. Girl, you better pull yourself together. Girl, it's like a discounting of the
Mhm.
experience.
Mhm.
And again, it's like this staying, like you said before, Mrs. Watley, mothers hopefully do not tell their daughters to stay in an abusive relationship. Yet, many times they tell them to stay in an abusive job. Okay.
Yes.
So, what are some of the tips that Black mothers can hear from you about what's a different way of being? How can they be a different way with their Black daughters who are saying, "Mom, I'm suffering here."
One thing I can say, Kamani, in order for me to help you, I have to be present. A mom has to show up for her daughter. You know, oftentimes we say, oh, they 18. What 18 got to do with it? That's when life begins. That's
Right?
when
Isn't it just
problems,
important?
that's when you have a lot of problems.
Yes.
So you have to be the kind of parent. Now, I also want to look at the antithesis. I can't even say the word, but anyway, look at the opposite of this coin with
Okay.
caution. I want to
Okay.
do that.
Okay.
Some others say, I have been on my
You
job
off
for
camera.
20 years. Oh, I'm sorry. I was
You be
like,
going off the
You
camera.
were leaning into it. You were getting
I know,
good.
Mama. We got to remember that people watching. You're not just talking to yourself.
okay, I have been on my job for 20 years. Get over it and grow up. I know
Woo.
a lot of people out there have heard that.
Yes.
Are
Yes.
you crazy for leaving that good job? Crazy. Look at the labels you get.
Yes.
What about the benefits? But
Ooh,
see,
yes.
also with benefits, I want to be clear. Those are not yours either. You pay into it.
That's
Yeah.
true.
And
That's
if these
true.
people want to get rid of it, well, guess what? It's
That's
out.
it.
And we're living in 2025, and you can look at the model that they're choosing to use today.
Yep.
A lot of people don't have any benefits.
That's
And that
true.
401k is dwindling.
Yep.
They better look at it.
Yep.
And some moms go into a mad rage with their daughters. You are such a disappointment.
Ooh. Girl, you pulling out all the stops now. Woo, yes.
A disappointment. That's something you in pain and somebody telling you a disappointment.
They stepping on you while you're down. Yes.
Sometimes they see you as a mean to an end.
Hmm.
And some people don't want to help you. You have parents that don't, just because they're your mom, or dad, or cousin, or brother, or something, or whatever, that mean they want to help you.
That's true.
Oftentimes you can get more assistance from a stranger than from a relative.
Ooh.
You got to look at it.
Ooh.
And you also have to look at manipulations. Sometimes mom can manipulate you with her feelings of not recalling her triggers in life or what her disappointments have been.
Mm-hmm.
You got to look at that.
Right.
When has she honestly sat down and talked with you about what happened to her?
Mm-hmm.
And why does she feel that she can't be there for you, walking side by side with you?
Yeah.
I don't believe in this approach of I and thou. When you are adults, you all should be walking as equal and parallel at that point.
Mm.
You need each other. This world we live in, you need somebody to bounce ideas and thoughts off of.
True.
It ain't no I and thou here. And when it comes to that job, a lot of mothers would say, no matter how bad that job was, I was going to stay there for that retirement until, even if they were falling dead, they were going to stay there.
True. Yeah. And
and I want you to remember this. All of you all on here. Remember, you are no longer a little girl, and you have, at this point, life experiences and life skills.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to depend on your mom. Depend on self.
Yeah.
What can self do?
Yeah.
Look at what your job did to you and look what Jill's job. But guess what? You had a skill set to keep going.
Absolutely.
You didn't even have to look back. You didn't have to look back.
Yeah.
Why would you want to be in a toxic situation? And why would you want someone else to be in a toxic situation?
Right. Like, why would you want your daughter to continue to be harmed? And I think too, Mrs. Watley, I think that part of this discussion also is for Black women who are watching this, who might have a mother who is not supportive of them leaving that job and telling them to stay in a toxic job, how to know when maybe don't tell your mom anymore about the job. So if you're getting that feedback, and I've said this very vocally, that my mother was not supportive at all of me leaving that toxic job because she retired from a good government job. So I had a good government job. It wasn't good, I'm just saying, right? So she wanted the same for me. So she could envision, right? This is out of love and concern. She could not envision, what are you doing? Like, she did not want me to leave at all. And so I had to make a very painful decision of no longer talking to her about it. She would ask me about the job, and I would just keep it surface level. Did not talk to her at all about my plans for leaving. I started getting other resources in place. I started working with other people to exit plan, but I didn't tell her until after I left. I left 6 months after I left, then I told her. And so I think what's important for us as Black women is to say, even though it's painful, that sometimes we have to use discernment. If your mother's not supportive of you leaving a toxic job and she's telling you to stay somewhere where you know you're being harmed, that sometimes you have to make the painful decision of not telling her. What are your thoughts about that, Mrs. Watley?
When you do not have the support of your mother, get a surrogate mother.
Get that support.
You need to be able to, I don't know if I want to use triangulation. That might be a little bit too much because that's sometimes manipulative and conniving. You know, a lot of that goes on with that.
Okay.
But I can say you need extra ears and extra eyes to help you to see what is best for you. Don't depend on no one source. Now, if you go that deep, you need to call up God.
That's true.
You and therapy. Yeah, if you want to go that deep, go call God. And ask God point blank, what you want me to do?
Yes. Your own spirituality, your own connection with God, right?
Exactly.
I think that's important too.
Yeah. And another thing I thought about is one thing with a person they're not really listening to you in your pain. I tell them this. I feel you need to make I feel statements, such as when you say whatever, you make me feel like whatever.
Oh.
Let them know how they make you feel. That's painful not to have anyone listening to you when you're going through those type thresholds in life.
Yeah.
You might be the best employee in the world on a job. Yeah. But when nobody recognizes that, how does that make you feel?
True. True. And you know what, Mrs. Watley, like you're speaking about, because I think many of us, Gen X, we were brought up that you're seen, not heard, right? And you should not say certain things, even as an adult. You know what I'm saying? Like there's certain things you do not say to your mother. And so I think people who are watching this, like there's certain things it's been a long time coming for me to say to my mother, a long time coming, okay? But I think that's because how I was brought up. That you better not say certain things, you better not, even look a certain way, you better not do these things. But for us to say we are grown now, we are
Mhm.
grown now,
Mhm.
and we have to be able to speak our truth. And it's not
Mhm.
disrespectful to your mother to say, when you say this is how it makes me feel. That's not
Yes,
disrespectful.
exactly.
It's not
Yes.
disrespectful.
Not about disrespect.
It's not.
Mm-mm.
It's not. It's not
Mm-mm.
disrespectful. Yes, yes,
That's
yes,
true.
yes.
Mm-mm.
So what
That's
is
true.
that was fabulous. Okay. So Mrs. Watley, and I'm gonna turn to you, Dr. Watley. What would
Okay.
you say, Mrs. Watley? Like, what words of wisdom can you offer to Black women who are watching this right now, and they may have a mother where she's telling her about the job, and her mother is saying, "You better not leave that good job, good benefits." What words of wisdom can you offer to Black women who are watching this right now in relation to her mother?
Um, Let me talk about the outcomes of that. When you are in a healthy space and you have somebody to dialogue with,
Mhm.
that makes you feel good because they're present. They're present and they're showing up for you.
Yeah.
They are actually empathic. They're listening to you as an individual and dialoguing you as an adult,
Right.
not as no child.
Right.
You don't treat them as a child. You have to let them express themselves.
Yes.
And when they're in a toxic situation, I just cannot fathom a person encouraging somebody to stay somewhere,
Mm.
knowing that it's affecting them.
Mm.
If anything, you need to help them to come up with a strategic plan on how to exit.
Mm.
What tools do you have that we can build on to put on your resume to make it outstanding? We need to talk about all of this stuff.
Mhm.
Life is hard enough.
True.
Jobs are difficult.
True.
And in this day and time, it's worse. You have a lot of crabs in that barrel.
Oh, yes, we do. Yes, we
A
do.
lot. And you need to be careful about the people that you center yourself around
Oh, so true. Check
because
your
you are
circle.
looking for longevity, not to cut your life short. Because some people will.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So, what you would say to Black women watching is number one, recognize you are an adult. You have agency, right? To be able to
Mhm.
express yourself to your mother, it's not disrespectful, but it's honoring yourself, right?
Mhm.
Number two is if you tell your mother, this is how I feel about this job, and your mother is saying some version of, you better not leave that job, good benefits, she's projecting her fears onto you, you're going to be homeless, all that kind of stuff, and your mom's able to hear you, then don't share that anymore with your mom.
No,
Find people who you can share that with, and they're willing to work with you to pivot out of that job.
exactly.
Perfect. Perfect.
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect.
Excellent. Excellent.
And another thing I want to talk about is free will. You
Okay.
know, we all have, if you look up Augustine talks about free will and he talks about choices. We were born with that, all of us.
Hmm. Hmm.
But one thing that will keep us in bondage is sin. Remember that.
Okay. Okay. So, Mrs. Watley, I mean, Dr. Watley, excuse me. That,
Yes.
first of all, Ms. Watley, that was absolutely outstanding. I loved it. I loved it.
Thank
Okay.
you,
I think,
baby.
and I was
Thank
seeing
you.
in the chat, people are like, this is so healing. And it is because we don't have these conversations with our mothers, not in
Yeah.
real time. We don't have these conversations with our mothers because that's something where we have been brought up that we revere our mothers, we stay in our place, right? But we need our mothers. When we're struggling, we need our
Mhm.
mama. Okay. So we're gonna go to mama and talk to mama. And I think Black mothers don't understand the powerful influence they still have over their daughters'
Yes.
lives,
Yes.
even as adults.
Hmm.
Even as adults. And I think for us as Black women to give ourselves permission to say to our mothers when something is hurtful to us, and also to give ourselves permission to not internalize everything that mom is saying in the sense that I don't want to disappoint my mama, so I got to stay in this environment still being harmed, right? So we have to think about our self-preservation. So, Dr.
Exactly.
Watley, what is it like to have a mother who is has been so supportive of you in your pivot and really knowing your worth? What has that been like for you?
It makes for an interesting person, right? I'm definitely not a pushover um in the workspace and in my personal life. My mom has a strong constitution and my father did. So my personality is definitely what it is. And what
Yeah.
I've come to realize is that some people appreciate it and then some people won't, because um I'm very strong about my conviction and about my why I do a thing. And
Mhm.
I'm not easily shaken. So I had a supervisor once. She understood that about me. And she was
Mhm.
like, Jill, this is the reason we're doing. I'm a why person. I'm a
Mhm.
researcher. I want to know why. So
Mhm.
you just telling me we're doing something and expecting me to follow you,
Mhm.
I'm not, that's not how I'm wired. In
Mhm.
fact, that's not how all of us should not be wired like that. That's how people got into the cheating scandal in Atlanta public schools, following what their principal said. And
Mhm.
then they end up, I just don't follow leadership aimlessly because of title,
Mhm.
influence, or those types of things. It has
Mhm.
to make sense.
Right.
I was born into a family where that's in me. So
Mhm.
there's no changing that. So I
Right.
have to seek out. It has made me more of, the older I get, environments where that's appreciated, where intellectual curiosity is appreciated and not seen as something like oppositional or
Mhm.
whatever people may add to it. There
Mhm.
are just some of us, everybody's personality is built different. The
Mhm.
other thing is I'm just very tenacious. It's made me I don't give up, but I don't give up on my main things.
Yeah.
So I never have given up. When I left that toxic job, I never gave up on children.
Yes. Yes.
Now that don't mean I'm not gonna give up on you if you crazy.
Right.
If you
Right.
crazy, I mean, I'm sorry. I love
Right.
children. I love helping families. I love helping people. But if you start talking crazy to me, I'm gonna let that go.
Yes.
I won't be around for that, and you will lose a valuable team member. And so I have to keep my head on a swivel. I have to be
Mhm.
very intentional about where I work and who I align myself with,
Mhm.
because their value set has to be very, very grounded. There are
Mhm.
some people, they change with whoever come in the room.
Right.
I'm not set up like that.
Right.
I am who I am.
Yeah, it sounds like your upbringing, just like your mom's upbringing. That's why your mom is a unicorn, okay? It's a similar thing where you have a sense of grounding and knowing your worth and having
Yeah.
a mother who was supportive of you and even to pivot out, you were able to pivot out. And the thing that I love what you said too, Dr. Wiley, is you were able to recognize I'm still able to do this work of serving kids and supporting kids, but not with these crazy people who are trying
Mm-mm.
to harm me. And so I
Mm.
want us to be able to understand that you
That's
can do the work. It might be somewhere else. It might be doing something else,
Right.
doing something different, but you're still doing the ultimate work. So for me, I used to work for the school district too. And it was so sad. I was like, oh my God, I'm leaving these kids. I'm da da da. Now I'm doing work to help kids on a higher level.
Yep,
Okay. So you have to think about, you know what, God is going to provide, but you
he
got to
will.
walk, right? You got to prepare and you got to walk. When something is harming you, it's not going to get better, it's going to get worse. So,
Worse.
how do we as
Mhm.
Black women start
Mhm.
preparing ourselves and pivoting out? So, Mrs. Watley, how has Jillian appeared differently since she's pivoted out of that toxic job? How do you see her? How has she come out of this?
Let me see. I think she came out of the gate running. She knew that she had choice,
Yeah,
and she utilized her free will in this world to
true,
make selections about what she wanted to be.
true.
I've done my part. And prayerfully, it's in her to do her
Yes.
part.
Yes.
I have to allow her that freedom to be herself.
Yes.
But if she needs help with her decision making, or she just want to dialogue and throw stuff out there in the air and we can talk about it, because already, oftentimes she already knows what she want to do. She just want to hear what I have to say. So I honor that. I honor that. Go
Yes.
ahead with it. Now, if it's too far out the box, now we got to come back and talk.
Right. But you got her back. You got her
Yes,
back.
yes. And I think in life, we all need to be assured that someone has our butt back.
Yes.
And they're there for us in honesty and truth. Because some people are up there for you, let something happen, and you'll see where they are.
True that. True that. True that. Well, I want to say, Mrs. Wiley, that you and your husband did a fabulous job with raising such a fiercely confident Black woman who has persevered no matter what, right?
Yeah,
So Dr. Wiley has always known her mission. She's always been very confident. She's had some setback, but she's able to
right.
come back and she's experienced post-traumatic growth. So this traumatic stuff happened, but now she's soaring at a higher level. And I
Right.
love that you were able to do that. You and your husband were able to do that for your daughter. And
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Wiley, I love to see what you're doing because now you're soaring and you're showing Black women unapologetically. I
Yeah.
could be about business. I could be about Black people. I'm centered on business, but I'm very clear about who's in my circle and who I choose to surround myself with.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So, Dr. Wiley, can you share with the audience what is the work that you're doing now? What is work you're doing now? Tell us about your services, your book, how you could be contacted, all that.
Awesome. So I'm doing a lot of different things. My daytime job, because I do work in a school district. I work for the Cobb County School District in in Georgia, and I'm the school psychologist liaison. I made an intentional decision to come back to my first love, which would be a school psychologist, and work it in a district or department that actually loves and cares for me. A lot of the students that I taught at Georgia State are now my colleagues.
Okay.
I know, and I'm able to mentor them, and I'm also on the leadership team. Aside from that, I'm still an adjunct professor at Anderson University, and I love doing that work. Christian University, I enjoy it. And then lastly, I am the owner, the founder of Jillian Watley and Associates. So what do we do at Jillian Watley and Associates? Do a ton of professional development training with not only educators, police officers. Like I just did my first year-long training with police officers on implicit bias and emotional intelligence. I do a
Wow.
lot of work with leaders on emotional intelligence and trauma-informed leadership. And also working with teachers, educators. And now I have a new offering that I will be unveiling this week, which is on which will be around parent coaching, specifically parent coaching. And the why behind that is we have got to go back to the basics around how we are raising our children
True.
and entering them into this world and into this system. So I will be unveiling that on LinkedIn and on my social media handles. Also, I do a lot of work with one-on-one coaches, just leading people and helping them think through strategic processes. So I can give people like a 360 view on a plan, and I'm an objective entity that comes in and helps and kind of guides you in the background. No, I'm not a part of your team, but I can look at things from an objective entity. So I've had people ad hoc me into stuff like that as well. So I'm enjoying it. I'm learning how to use my skill set in more than one way and also help leaders be the best they can be in multiple spaces, not just education. I love education. It's my first love, but I love teaching and I still love being a school psychologist. So I'm doing that and I'm happy.
You're radiating joy. Like when you're talking, I'm like joyful with you. I'm like, girl, what you doing? Yeah, I'm like, you're like radiating. And so I want Black women to see that when you're in a toxic job, sometimes you get so beat down, like you said, Dr. Wiley, and I relate to that. I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back. I used to think I don't want to go back. And I used to even question like, I don't even want to be a psychologist. If this is what it means to be a psychologist, I
Mhm.
don't even want to be a psychologist
Mhm.
anymore, right?
Mhm.
But once I left that environment, I was like, I love being a psychologist. That's why I'm up here having conversations, doing live, because I love the work that I do now. Now that I
Now,
Mhm.
now that I can do things on my terms.
yes, Kamani. And the other thing is, I tell people, they said, Dr. Wiley, will you ever go back into senior leadership? I said, it depends on who I'm playing with. So what do I
Ah,
mean? No longer do I just interview for positions and take it. I need to know what your why is. I need to know the people I'm going to be working with.
true, true,
That's
true.
more important than the job.
So
So
true.
one of my students asked me a couple months ago when I came back to the cab, he said, Dr. Wiley, what made you choose the cab? What made you come in? I said, one thing I know for certain, I have a lot of people here who really care about me as a person.
Hmm.
Number two, I know that the students that I have put into the school district are doing the work. So I don't mind partnering with them.
Mm-hmm.
And so what does that mean? That means that I'm not just looking at the job that's on the LinkedIn or the
Mm-hmm.
job that's on the whatever. I'm looking at the people I got to play with every day. Do I
Ooh,
like this
yes,
daycare center? Do I like this school? Do I like this classroom? If I
yes,
don't like it, I ain't coming. I'm not
yes.
doing it. So if I get a feeling, Mr. Principal, that I'm interviewing with you and you a little this way, I'll go to the next one. Because
Right,
at this
right.
point, I'm going towards 50, and there are just certain things I'm not doing. And that
So
means I love being happy and I love my joy.
yes,
And the money always will come when you're
true,
happy and when you're
true.
joyful.
True, true. And what you're really emphasizing too is as Black women that we need to pay attention to red flags, right? So if
Honey,
we're interviewing someplace and we're like, I don't know. Pay attention to red flag.
yep.
The other thing is thinking about where are the places that we want to be and who the people we want to surround ourselves with. It's very important because we're at the job most of our day. So we have to
Yeah.
think about that and we have to prioritize what are the values that I have and how is the job aligned with this in some way.
Yes. That is so important, Kamani, because we always think it's when we talk about mental health, we tend to talk about mental health as a last resort. But
Mm,
mental health encompasses where do I land and where do I live, work, and play every day.
yes,
So if,
yes.
if you can go to the best therapist, you can go to the best island, but if where you live, work, and play is toxic, you
Mhm.
might as well just
Mhm.
cancel all the other stuff out.
Exactly,
I'm
right?
sorry.
Because when you're in a toxic work environment, the toxicity gets into your system. It's
Yeah,
toxic, it's into your system, and then it carries over to your home life, your life
all
with your
day.
friends,
Mhm.
I'm
because
not
it's
doing it.
toxic.
I'm
Yeah,
not doing
yeah, yeah. So we're like, no, no more, no more, no more. So, Mrs. Wiley, I have a question for you. If
Yeah.
there's a Black woman who has shown this video to her mother,
it.
she's like, "Mama, you gotta watch this video because this mama is just dropping the gems, right?" Would you be okay with talking to Black mothers
Would you be
who
okay with
are
talking to a
curious
black woman?
about like, I
Look at
I
me.
don't wanna hurt my daughter, I wanna be there to support her, but I'm worried for her survival, like, she gotta make money, like, in their mind, they can't conceive of her leaving that job. Are you open to people contacting you?
Well, they can. That'll be fine because I feel like I believe in wholeness. You have to work in a holistic way to get to people.
True.
And then what I mean by that too, I look at people as being on the ashtray level at the bottom.
Oh,
Come as you are.
okay.
I will listen to what you have to say, but I also expect for you to listen to what I have to say.
Uh-oh.
Hey.
Yeah. It's a two-way
Okay.
street.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So what would be the best way? I'm gonna add Dr. Watley's contact information in the video section. So you'll have her website, you have all well, okay. And then Mrs. Watley,
Mm-hmm.
how would you want people to reach you?
You
Through
want
Facebook?
through
Would you
me?
want them to
Yeah.
DM?
She said through me.
Oh, okay. So
And
She
I
let
then
me go with it. She let me go with it better.
okay. So I'll put again Dr. Wiley's information. And if you want to talk to Mrs. Wiley as well, then you
Yes.
go through Dr. Wiley's website. Yes,
You're
yes, yes.
right.
But Dr. Wiley, we've got to talk about your book.
Where is my teacher? Gosh, I forgot. I'm so happy. I don't know what to do. Okay. Listen, everybody, where's my teacher? I'm going to do a relaunch this year. Where's my teacher's children's book that I wrote on grief? It's almost like a little tool to help parents, teachers, school counselor to be able to start the conversation about the loss of a teacher. And the reason in which I wrote this book, this children's book, is because my daughter, while in kindergarten, she lost her teacher. And I was like, God, I was looking for specific books to talk about the loss of a teacher, not the loss of a parent, not the loss, because we undermine that. God, it's a lot of teachers that passed away, Kamani. Like,
yeah.
Oh my God. And so I said, well, you know what? If you can't find something, make it yourself.
Make it yourself.
So I made a book. Please go on Amazon. The book is on Amazon. Where's my teacher? And I want everybody to know that Lisi is well, the little girl in the book. She's doing well. She has had to learn and still learning how to cope with loss as she gets older. Everyone probably, well, you know, Kamani, my father passed away in September. So some of the same things that she learned as a child, we're still learning again now. But loss is something that's a consistent part of life. And so we have to help and hold children's hand and hold our own hand as we walk through the grief journey. So please, get that book, and people can reach out to me as well if they want to have a further conversation about how to use the book in schools.
Beautiful. I think it's a beautiful, just so a touching resource. It's much needed, much needed. So I'll put her book information description section as well, so you can check out the book. So I'm going to read the community chat, and then ladies, get ready, because I'm going to ask you guys for your final words, okay, to share the community. Okay. So people again are saying happy birthday to you, Dr. Watley. Thank you so much for creating such a beautiful platform. I appreciate you for sharing your knowledge and experience. Thank you. Be okay with self-preservation. So true. Listen to the God in you. Yes. Relearning and restraining. We cannot make others respect you. You cannot. That's a mindset hurdle we got to get over. You cannot make these people respect you because they already don't respect you. Nothing you can do can make that happen. Okay.
Nope.
Mama stock is different. Yes. So true. Unfortunately, family can really be unsupportive of your mental, emotional state, only defining you by your job status. That's a good point. Because when you think about, for sometimes with Black women, I don't know if other people, I'm just talking about Black women because that's what we talk about on this channel, okay? So sometimes for us, our identity becomes fused with the job title.
Yeah.
Right? So we introduce ourselves and we're talking about our job title, right? But I appreciate this comment that sometimes that's reinforced by family members too, right? Okay, we'll talk about obligation, preach auntie wisdom, mama nas, to say keep that job with benefits and pension. I retired at disability. I was physically and mentally exhausted. Yeah. Preach.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Let's see. Not me. Oh, they said not me. When you were like, when people were trying to come to you, Mrs. Wiley, like, girl, why you do that? You're like, not me. You're not coming to me with that stuff. Okay. So it's different for your kids. Not with me. Okay. You're helping, emotional manipulation. Exactly. People don't realize these so-called benefits are what we pay into. You don't need to depend on these jobs for your future. So true. Because you're not going to have a future, honestly. It's real talk.
That's real.
You're not going to have a future if the job is harming you. It's going to impact you physically and mentally. Okay. So we have to think about that and prioritize that. Since Mama's preaching today, get it from a surrogate. God will send. This is true. Do the work somewhere else. Better, stronger, wiser, period. Okay. So, Dr. Wiley, I'm going to have you share your last words, and I'm going to end off with your mom. Okay. So, Dr. Wiley, any last words you want to share with the community as we're winding down?
Yeah. My final word would be, for people to just take care of themselves and really start putting themselves first in everything you do and being intentional about that every day. That is the way to healing. I when I first met Kamani, I was coming out of a storm, and I definitely have feel like I'm on the other side, and there will be other storms, right? But with each storm, you ground and get your footing. And I've gotten my footing, and I want that. I want us to be well. I want us to be whole, and I want us to stop being on this treadmill that's slowly killing us. So
Yeah.
put yourself first.
Yes. I love it. I love it. And Mrs. Watley, last words you want to share with the community today?
Moms, show up for your daughters. They need you more now than ever. Instead of, if the mom does not show up, just like I said before, get a surrogate mom. Find somebody in the community that's willing to support you, a support group, if nothing else. If you can't find that, go to a support group. Also, when you're in a toxic job situation, you have to be clear about when something is enough. Enough is enough. Set clear boundaries and limits. You have to understand boundaries and limits. That's very important.
Extremely.
And this is very important too. Follow your gut. Your gut will let you know what you need to do. You need to ask God to give you a spirit of discernment.
True.
For you to understand what is right and what's wrong. It's important. At the end of the day, you are what matters. Job toxicity will harm you mentally and physically.
True.
And the last thing I will say, be honest with yourself.
Ooh, don't lie to yourself.
Be yourself. Be yourself.
Yes. Yes. Well stated. Well stated. Okay. So again, I want to say to Dr. Watley, Mrs. Watley, thank you so much for being my guest again. This is very powerful, very moving. I know it's going to help heal a lot of Black women who are watching this, because I hear this a lot. I hear, like, I want to get out, but my mama said this, but my mama said that. Okay. So we have to remember the gems that were shared today. Black women, as you're watching this, I encourage you to pause and reflect on your own situations and think about what was shared as a how to deal with your mother if she's saying these things to you. I also want to make an announcement that we're having a members only live. So I do have a private butterfly community for Black women. So we're having a live on Thursday, members only live, about ways that AI can help us with job searches. Okay.
Oh,
That's this Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Pacific time. If you want to join the community, then there's a join icon at the near where it says subscribe. You can join and then you'll be part of the live. Okay. So again, I'm so happy that everyone was able to join today. If you are watching this video and it resonated with you, because I'm sure it did, give this video a thumbs up. Also share this video with at least 2 other Black women. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. It is completely free. And I hope that you choose to join the Butterfly YouTube community for Black women. And again, I'm so thankful to Dr. Watley and her unicorn, brilliant mother, Mrs. Ruby Watley. I'm so thankful for both of you. Okay. So
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Everyone, I will see you all later. And then if you guys can just stay on for a moment, okay?
Okay.
Everyone, take care.